Good afternoon and welcome to the sixth and final round of the 2024 Amazing Angel Shake competition. The heat is on. Graciously sponsored by Hicks Automotive Group. Before we begin, let us begin our event in prayer. If you could please bow your heads. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Holy Spirit, your plans for us are beyond what we can imagine. Awaken within us the ability to see the possibilities you see for us as followers, disciples of Jesus. Deepen our desire to nurture the gifts you have planted in our hearts. Nourish us with your confidence in all that we do, and help us to pursue with eagerness and joy the path of holiness and service to which we have been called. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Praised be the incarnate Word, now and forevermore. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, we're joining us live for the Amazing Angel Shake. The premise behind this competition is one that places an emphasis on teaching our students the importance of manners, discipline, respect, and professional conduct. The goal is to prepare our students for opportunities today as well as tomorrow, so they will always know how to get through navigating difficult circumstances and situations. Over the last 2 weeks, we have put our angels to the ultimate test with a series of 5 elimination rounds before today, where they have had to exercise confidence, courage, respect, passion, joy, compassion, humility, poise, common sense, and the ability to stay composed under pressure. For round 1, they had 11 consecutive one-on-one interviews with community leaders and business professionals. That same day, students moved on to the gauntlet, which was a labyrinth of 10 case scenario stations that were equally unique and exhilarating. Round 3 was work the room, where they had a timed session to go through a diverse audience of business professionals. Round 4 was poise under pressure. Students presented a 2024 S680 Maybach, a rare chance to showcase a nearly $240,000 vehicle to Ed Hicks Imports Mercedes-Benz executives. Round 5 was the perfect pitch. Students posed as a recently promoted director of human resources and practiced not only having a difficult conversation, but having to think on their feet. In those last 2 rounds, students only had 24 hours. Do you remember that? To prepare for that. And then today, round 6, the heat is on, will be a combination of one-on-one interviews as well as a panel discussion. We have rallied nearly 50 judges from our community over the past 2 weeks to help us with this competition, to ultimately narrow it down to the 4, who will be narrowed down to the top 2 this afternoon, and will be competing in Atlanta, Georgia at the Ron Clark Academy next month. At this time, I'd like to extend a special thank you to all of our judges for being here today. There's a total of 6. It's really nice to be surrounded by people that are giving up their time and talents to be with us today. We'd also like to thank our presenting sponsor, Hicks Automotive Group, to which this is possible, and thank the Amazing Angel Shake Committee and all the teachers who have helped. And now for the instructions. Our moderator will ask a series of our 4 finalists a series of one-on-one questions, to which they will each have 3 minutes. Then we will follow that by a panel discussion where he will pose, our moderator, Wilson Van Exen, multiple questions. Students will have 4 minutes to respond collectively. Students can answer those questions in any order. We just ask the judges that we are looking at students, not so much, we're not looking at their thoughts and opinions and beliefs, but how they're able to deliver them. Once we've finished, our judges will help us confer and announce the top 2. Students answer questions to the best of your ability, and Carpe Diem, seize the day. Most of all, remember to be bold and brave and have fun, and know that we're proud of you. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to our moderator, Wilson Van Exen, who's going to begin with Randall Martini.
Thank you to the viewers for tuning in. At this time, we welcome our first contestant, Randall Martini.
Awesome. Thank you. Randall, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So congratulations, man. You made it to the final round, 6th final round. So my name's Wilson Van Exen. I'm your moderator. I mean, it must be crazy last couple of weeks, right?
It has. It's been insane. It's been really fun, though.
Okay, so here's how it's going to go. You're going to have 3 minutes to answer the next few questions. So you ready?
Totally.
Okay, so this first question has 2 parts. What do you love the most about this competition? And what advice would you give to someone they're not sure about participating in the future?
Well, I really love about this competition is just how it puts you in uncomfortable situations. You know, that's the whole premise of the competition is to put you in places where you're going to be whenever you get older, and how to be in those situations and act with poise. And if I was giving advice to anyone that would come and they weren't sure if they were going to try it, is just try it. Even if you don't make it past the first round, you're still going to learn something. You know, it's really fun. Whenever I first started, I didn't think that I was going to make it far at all. But I started getting into it, and my whole mentality was, if I make it, great. If I don't, great. And I just learned so much from it. So definitely I would try it.
All right. And if you could choose one person that inspires you the most, who would you pick and why?
Well, that's a hard question because there are a lot of people that I look up to. I definitely look up to my coaches and my teachers. I would say my parents, definitely, because I know they've been through so much. They've helped me out with so much. Tons of people.
Okay. And when you're preparing, you know, you have to pay attention to the news a lot. So what particular headlines you've been following?
Well, recently I've actually been following the, oh my gosh, the fentanyl crisis. That's what it is, and how all that's been going on. It's mainly about how people will go over to Mexico to try to get prescription drugs for cheaper, and actually 70% of the pills that are seized by the DEA are actually laced with a lethal dose of fentanyl. So people will go across Mexico and try to get a sleeping pill, and they won't actually wake up.
Okay, and my last question for you, Randall, is why do you think you deserve to advance on to nationals? Why should it be you?
Well, I don't really have a say in why I should advance. You know, I feel like everyone here has made it so far and done so much that we should all be able to go. But, of course, at this point, you know, I've heard it from many people. It's just about who's feeling good today. But I know that I've been doing it for a long time, and that I feel good, I feel confident. And, yeah, I feel that's about it.
All right, thank you, Randall.
Awesome. Hey, it was good to meet you.
You too.
And thank the judges. Thank y'all.
Next, we welcome Brooks McDavid.
So, Brooks, congratulations on making it to the final round of the
Thank
Amazing
you.
Angel Shake. So,
Thank
I'm
you.
your moderator. My name's Wilson Vanexen. So, what a 2 weeks it's been. It's been crazy, hasn't it?
It's been crazy.
So, here's how it's going to go. You're going to have 3 minutes to answer the next few questions. So,
Okay.
you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this first question has 2 parts. What do you love the most about this competition? And if somebody was unsure or they didn't know if they wanted to do it, well, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so the most important part, right? That was the first question.
What do you love most about it?
Okay, so I love how it's interacting with a lot of people. I think that I'm a very outgoing person. I've been told that I'm a very outgoing person, and my parents told me, oh, you're never going to have a problem making friends in school or whenever outside of school, and I'm good at helping people make friends. So I thought this competition would be perfect for me. I love just interacting with people and meeting so many new people. That's just the most fun part about this. And what was the second part?
If someone didn't know or they were unsure about whether or not they wanted to do it or they were shy, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that definitely do it. Like whether you're an outgoing person like me or you're not an outgoing person, like you're more of a shy person, this is a way to learn how to interact with other people and to interact with people to help like either make friends because you meet new people. Like in the waiting room in round 2, I talked with a lot of people that I've never spoke to before that have been in my class or not in my class that have been in this school for 5 years, 1 grade above me, and I'd never talked to them. And in that waiting room, I learned things about them that I'd never known about anyone.
And if you could pick one person that inspires you the most, who would you pick and why?
I would definitely say my mom because any advice that I get or the reason that I give advice people and the reason that I tell them what I tell them is just because of what my mom has done. She teaches me so much, and she's the reason I'm in this competition from a young age when I was in elementary and my sister was in middle school. My sister's not the most outgoing person. She's definitely a little bit more shy than me, And my mom started looking into it, and she said, this competition is definitely going to be perfect for you. And I guess she was right, because here I am in round 6.
And when you've been preparing, what particular news headlines have you been following leading up to
Okay,
this?
so definitely I've been following what's been happening at the border and what's been happening down at Eagle Pass, because this doesn't apply to a lot of other people, but it applies to me because my family has a big ranch, a 20,000 acre ranch in Mexico, and my dad has been trying to take me to go to hunt because I love hunting. Hunting's my life. But with so many people coming into our country, we can't get out just because it's unsafe. And what's crazy is the razor wire situation, with Texas putting up razor wire and the federal government taking it down, and Governor Abbott fighting with the federal government to put it back up. I think that's definitely been catching my eye lately, because I definitely think it's significant. All he's trying to do is keep our state safe, which is his job, and I think he's doing a good job at doing his job.
Okay, and then your final question. Well, I mean, first of all, making it to the final round is really, really impressive. So,
Thank you.
why do you think it should be you who goes on to nationals? What will you do to represent your school and your community if you win?
Well, to represent my school, I would say the reason I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're all out of time.
It's all right.
All right.
Contestant, Stella Guetta.
Stella, nice to meet you.
Wilson. So, congratulations on making it to the 6th and final round of the Amazing Angel Shake.
Thank you.
My name's Wilson. I'm your moderator. I mean, I'm sure it's been a crazy last couple of weeks, right?
It has. This competition is a roller coaster of emotions.
And so, the way it's going to work for this final round is we're going to have 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so this first question has 2 parts. What do you love the most about this competition? And what advice would you give to someone who's shy or, they're unsure about participating in the future?
Thank you, Wilson, for that amazing question. Before I begin, I would like to thank the judges for being here, because this competition would not be possible without you. So I'm going to start off with saying if they were shy. I was very shy. So I came to IWA in Corpus Christi halfway through my 6th grade year. And I was shy. I was timid. I was in a little bubble, and I would not talk to anybody. Then I got picked up from school one day, and my dad was like, "So, you're going to Atlanta?" And I'm like, "What?" But this competition has really brought me out of myself. Because if you would have told my 6th grade self, you're going to be on the stage with a panel, talking to people, being broadcasted to so many people, I would have freaking out. But I'm just saying, this competition does help me. And if you can look back at the years, you would see my progress, and that is insane.
Okay, and then if you could choose one person that inspires you the most, who would you pick and why?
Everybody in this competition has done so well, but one person that's helped me the most is Miss Karbowski. She's been here since 6th grade. She's always led me along the way, and I'm in aftercare, so when I would come to her with the next round, I'd be freaking out, like, how do I fire someone? Because that was one of the rounds where I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? She sat with me and helped me walk through it, and so just finding someone to help you just sit there and talk through your rounds and problems.
Okay, and then, as you've been preparing for this competition, what particular news headlines have you been following?
So there's been a lot of news headlines in this world because we have a busy world. This news article, my family and I have been going along with it, and it hits very close to home. So the SpaceX launch is the mission to Mars. So if you don't know what that is, SpaceX, Elon Musk is trying to send rockets to Mars, and it's so cool because they're doing it in Cameron County, which is where I'm from. I'm from San Benito, Texas, and it's so cool that rockets are being built and launched in our backyards. So over Thanksgiving, I actually got to go to South Padre Island, and I got to see a launch, and it was crazy how I saw the rocket from the ground and then go into space until out of sight. And I think that's crazy. From my hometown, I get to see rockets being launched. But I've been also following with the local news in Cameron County, and they are going on with it is destroying our ecosystem because the South Texas coastline is very delicate, and the building of rockets, the building of more people, more houses are being built, more jobs, more employment are being able to come. The very delicate ecosystem has been slightly tearing apart. So it is our part to try to make sure we don't ruin things to the extent, but to get the future elevated.
Okay, Making it to the final round is impressive. So, why do you think you deserve to advance to nationals and represent your school?
Well, I have been doing this competition since sixth grade, and as I was saying before, I was very shy, and I went to nationals in sixth grade. I really didn't make it far, but I
I'm
went.
sorry, we're all out of
Oh.
time.
Thank you so much.
No problem, of course.
Thank you, judges.
Contestant on the individual one-on-one, Evelyn James.
Hello. Is this on? It's on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Evelyn James.
Wilson.
Very nice to meet you, Wilson.
So, congratulations on making it to the final round of the Amazing Angel Shake.
Thank you.
So my name's Wilson. I'm your moderator. So, been a crazy last couple of weeks, right?
Yes, it definitely has.
Okay, so the way it's going to work is there's 3 minutes on that clock right there. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this first question has 2 parts. What do you love the most about this competition? And what advice would you give to a student who's shy or unsure about participating in the future?
What I love about this competition is the people you get to meet. I've had so much fun just talking with all the other students that participated, especially in our holding tank. It was so fun to do that. And advice I would give for someone who is shy, right?
Right.
Question. It would be just go out and have fun. I didn't think I'd get this far, and getting this far is pretty awesome. And even if you don't make this far, it's a really cool experience that I hope everyone would try.
And if you could choose one person that inspires you most, who would you choose and why?
Just any person.
Mm-hmm.
My mom. My mom is amazing. She has done so many cool things. She has her own business. She does ocean advocacy, and I've learned so much from her, and I think she's like my biggest inspiration.
Okay, and in preparing for this competition, what particular news headlines have you been following?
Immigration. That is something, it is a very complex issue that interests me, but also I have a personal connection to it. My great-grandparents immigrated here so their families could have a better life. And if they had not done that, I wouldn't be here today. I feel that it is very difficult topic, and that most adults still don't know what to do with the problem. But I think we always have to remember these people are human, and a lot of them are coming here because they have bad situations from where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we need to look at when we go forward.
Okay, and then, making it to the final round is really impressive. So, why do you think it should be you to go on to nationals and represent your school and your community?
Oh, wow. Of the top 4, we are all, I feel, amazing. But I think I have what it takes because, actually, that's a very interesting question. I have a different view on things, and I feel like I can bring an edge to my game. I love competitions. I really do. I play sports. I played so many sports, and I feel like I've always had the competitive edge when it comes to certain people. And I'm a person that likes to have humor in everything, and I'm not usually nervous, although for this I kind of was because it's the final round. But I think I have an edge that would definitely help me.
All right. Thank you, Evelyn. That's all.
Thank you.
No problem.
Have a great day.
You too.
This time we're going to have a short break, very brief pause, so we can bring all the contestants back on the stage for part 2.
Okay, welcome back to the second part of round 6. The heat is on. This part's the panel discussion. I'll be moderating from out of view. So, doesn't matter what order you guys answer this next question. If needed, there's going to be a couple questions, but if needed, we'll spend up to a maximum of 4 minutes discussing each topic. So, everyone ready?
Yes, sir.
Totally.
All right. What potential ethical and societal implications do experts anticipate as AI continues to advance? And what strategies are being proposed to ensure a beneficial and responsible integration of AI technology for the future?
I'll go ahead and start this one. For starters, there's a ton of different reasons. There's a ton of different things that people are worried about. Data and privacy is a big one. So, people get apps on their phone. They think it's just going to look at the app, but it turns out it's looking at so many other things. Data and privacy is a big one. A lot of people are worried about how AI might be affecting people's jobs, might be taking people's jobs. One big one is things like deepfakes. That's a very big problem that's been going on recently.
Yes.
And for things people are doing to help it, I know that a lot of employees or companies have been teaching their employees how to properly use AI so that they can use it in a safe way and a good way. And just to end it off, I mean, this kind of stuff is so new, especially social media and AI are so new and foreign to us that we couldn't really truly predict all of the different outcomes that could come from it.
That's great points. I'm going to kind of build off of what you said about data. AI holds a lot of data. So that includes things like facial and voice recognition. And that is private information. And so with all this information comes the risk of a privacy attack or a hack. And I feel that if government and other agencies put these policies and regulations in place, we won't have to deal with as many problems in the future because they'll already be there.
I like to take this next. So recently the Pope has said that AI, artificial intelligence, is exciting, but it does have some pros and cons. Some of the pros are that it can be helpful for medicine and like finding a cure for a disease that hasn't been found yet. But there are many cons to this situation. Let's look to the student aspect of this. Students have gotten access to AI and it affects their learning because if they're using AI to find answers, to find tests, they're learning, what's the point of kind of going to school? But also, people are out there using it for political viewpoints. They are using it for phone calls to call people and use it as politicians and try to talk them into personal information or personal details that you were not willing to share. So, as they were saying, if the government did decide to ban, AI would be able to be in use, but here's the thing with AI, you don't know what's behind it. AI is science that is being made, but you don't know what's behind it or what's going to happen next. That's how deep AI is.
Okay, so almost kind of what Stella said, there are pros and cons, as in it can get any job done faster. But a con, if you overestimate AI's power and you're doing something and you have an uneven balance, you have a 60-40 and you have AI doing 60% and you're only doing 40%, if AI doesn't turn out the way you want it to or AI fails to succeed, then you're left with nothing but 40% of actual work. And a lot of times that's just not enough to pass by. And with it taking AI, the definition is it's computers being programmed to think like humans. And what have we done since pre-K? We have gotten smarter. We have learned to do better in life. And if computers are learned to do or programmed to do exactly what we're programmed to do in our brains, then they can get smarter than us in a flash. I mean, it's not that hard for them to learn themselves how the world works and that they can get smarter than us and take on things that no one ever thought that they would take on.
That's really true. Overestimating something can have that effect, but also underestimating it. If you underestimate what AI can do, it's so new. And if we underestimate it going forward, we will have problems like the 4060 that we...
Oh, I'm sorry, we're all out of time. Now, how would y'all feel if I told you this question was made using AI?
Not
It's
surprisingly.
like a normal thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now moving on to question 2.
Mic's not working. Oh, there it goes.
It's
Okay.
working.
What are the primary environmental concerns addressed by Pope Francis in his 2015 encyclical Laudato Si, and how does he propose addressing them within the context of a Catholic teaching?
Well, actually, before this competition, we were given the packet to study, and I read through it, and it was very interesting. I love what the Pope has to say, but he had three main points: pollution, water, and loss of biodiversity. When he said pollution, and they all have some sort of relation to the Bible. For pollution, he said, we come from the earth, we are part of it, and by hurting that, we hurt ourselves. The more we pollute, the more it affects the communities that are less fortunate than us. I am very fortunate. I go to an amazing school. I have amazing classmates, but people don't have that. Water is a very big issue. We see that here. And water is a need. Water makes up us, and water is life. And denying that to someone goes against so many things. In the Bible, it is a symbol of baptism and rebirth and salvation. Water is our salvation. We need that to survive. And the last one was loss of biodiversity. Animals and plants, I think that's so cool. I love to go to the beach and just kind of go out there and just like stand and kind of take in everything. There are so many animals lost because of our activity, human activity. And he says that God creates everything. And by destroying that, we damage our relationship with God and go against what he's entrusted us as stewards of creation.
Okay, so adding on to what Evelyn said, the three main points: pollution, climate change, and water, and biodiversity. Because he brings up climate change with pollution.
Yes.
In what Pope Francis, what he describes water as, he describes it as a right to life. And because so many, and it is, I mean, you need it to survive. If you don't have water, you're not going to live. And the fact that people are hoarding waters, people are damming up waters because they're worried about a water supply in 10 to 15 years. And they're keeping that water to themselves so they will have some, but they are not concerned. They're not worried about the fact that people around the world are suffering because they don't have the water. And they're not caring about how much water they have. They're caring about, am I going to be okay in a long time? And that's part of the biodiversity that they're thinking. The species was going to be overpopulated. We have to make this habitat different for them, and that's going against everything God says in the Bible, and it's horrible.
So I'm going to bounce off of them, but also, so the Pope, when he wrote these documents, he had three things in mind on the first three Roman numerals. 1, pollution, how it affects the world, and not only us, but the poor. 2, water poverty, how, as they were saying, water is vital to living, and that if people hoard it up or use it for unnecessary things, it's not going to do well. And 3, biodiversity. And so the Pope tends, in his writings, he tends to circle back to the poor. He tends to circle back to, we need to serve the poor and treat others as you would like to be treated. I noticed that he focuses basically on the golden rule and how we should always support each other. He was saying about the water poverty, I inferred that he was saying all the water that's gross and disgusting, it gets down to the poor level, and they don't have any medicine, any treatments, or anything to help them sustain life. And he mentions it relating to the Catholic Church because he quotes Genesis, he quotes other popes before him, and he says that God is like the earth, and if we just treat the earth and just treat God, then we're basically just treating God.
Yeah, I mean, I only know I have 10 seconds to talk, but I know that Pope, he mentions a lot of different topics, things like climate change, things like pollution. I know the one easy way to describe it, whenever I think about it, is it takes me back to second grade at my old school. They always used to tell us, you got to be good stewards of the campus. You have to look down for trash, look out for everybody else, and look up to God. I know that's a very big part. He said he wanted everybody to come together to focus on problems that we should solve as a community and as a world.
All right, thank you. And then our next question has to do with electronics. So studies show that teens are becoming less equipped when it comes to interpersonal interactions because a lot of their communication comes through cell phones, tablets, electronics, not in person. So should teenagers be banned from using all social media until they're 18? or is there some benefits to letting the young people use them right now?
I'm going to start this one off. Ban is a really strong word. And if you abuse something, yes, it does need to be taken away. But if you don't abuse it, it can be healthy. So last time when I went to my pediatrician, Dr. Canales, she was talking to me about cell phones, and we were talking about social media. And we were chatting, and she says, it's fine unless it gets to use to that extent, unless it's used for abuse, for power. But we also need to work on talking with people in real life. After COVID, we were all used to not being as social as we could be. And so cell phones have really taken part in that. But if we find a way to talk to our friends in real life, not just through text messages, it'll be more sustainable for us. And so I'd like to share, last summer I went to Spain and we did the Camino, which was where my family walked over 90 miles in the course of 7 days. And there was no service out there. We were walking through forests near waterfalls, and there was no service. I was not on my phone the whole time, and it's really taught me not everything relies on your phone. Not everything needs to be on social media.
You know, I would like to break off of that. I agree with you. I think banned is a strong word. But personally, I believe that young kids, young adults, especially if you're under the age of 18, should most certainly be banned from electronics. I mean, you gotta think about it. Why do we have age limits on things like smoking and alcohol and gambling? In short, it's because they're very addictive. And it's been known, it's been proven many times that social media is just as addictive as those abusive substances. We also know for a fact that the younger you start using an abusive substance, the more likely you are to be addicted in the near future as an adult.
That is very true. But I feel like social media also has benefits. It is used for educational purposes. Like you said, during COVID, we had to do distance learning. It is also used to connect people who you wouldn't connect with otherwise. I did an online coding camp, and I got to meet kids from across the nation with different backgrounds, and it was really cool to see that. I would have never met those people if social media had not existed. Social media helped me virtually visit my grandmother when she was in the hospital. It helped me call people and stay connected, even though I couldn't be physically next to them. And like you said, ban is a strong word. For certain things, there probably should be limits and age limits, but for most things, I feel like social media can be beneficial. We use Google Classroom here at IWA, and that is very beneficial for me and every single other student.
Okay, so this applies to me a little different than everyone else. I didn't have a phone until I was 11 years old, coming into 6th grade, and I actually have a certain type of phone that it was designed by psychologists and pediatricians, and it's designed that you cannot have social media on it. The parent can't install it, you can't install it, there's no hack to get it on, because it's made to prevent stress and anxiety, so you don't have any of that, and it's made to be a tool, not a toy. And one of the reasons my mom gave it to me was because I play baseball, and sometimes I'll get rides to tournaments with some of my friends, and I just needed to talk to her. And I think, like Evelyn said, and kind of y'all two disagreed with her almost, but I think there are benefits because, yes, you meet people that you would never meet. Coming out of COVID, people didn't know how to talk to each other again.
Yes.
I remember coming back to school and I was like, I think I remember you. And they had been my best friend for 3 years in a row, and I couldn't remember them. But being able to talk to them online with Google Meet and social media definitely helps because you still keep in touch with them, and you can still talk to them in ways that you couldn't have been able to before.
And that's why I love this competition. This competition lets people be out of their shell, lets them talk to people without being nervous. And I think
All right,
that
I'm sorry, we're all out of time. But we have another question, and it's this. Is it more important for a nation to spend money on diplomacy and improving their relations with other countries, or should you build yourself up and spend more money on improving your own military and your own defense systems?
Okay, sorry, Randall, I'll
Yeah,
take this
you're
one
good,
first
you're
real
good.
quick. I think it is more important to spend money on your military defenses because if you go spend all your money on trying to be diplomatic and make relationships with other countries, and then those countries end up not being your friend and they end up turning on you, you still have a strong military to come back if you spend your money on your military. But if you spend it all on being diplomatic and you go make friends and they're not your friends, you don't have a strong army to defend yourself with. And people or other countries, they're more likely going to want to be your friend if you have a strong military, because they're going to say, well, if these people are my friends and I have these other friends and these other friends turn on me, I know my real friend has a strong military that will back me up and help defend myself.
I get where I get where you're coming from, but I would honestly have to disagree. I feel like you should invest money on diplomatic solutions so you don't have these wars in the first place. But yes, you should also still invest in your military. Because, for example, we live in Corpus. I know you live in Rockport, and we have hurricanes. And if you invest money into the military, it aids the military to come and help us, to evacuate people who are elderly, who are poor, who don't have the access that we do. There are many different things that money for diplomatic reasons can be used for too. Total cooperation for multiple countries can help with things like Pope Francis, his Laudato Si, with pollution and climate change, and things like COVID, the pandemic, and terrorism. If we work together, we can solve these big problems, which will make huge steps forward. So our generation and generations to come can have a clean and safe world to live in.
You know, bouncing off of Brooks, I want to start off with a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far. In my opinion, to invest money on diplomacy and relations with other countries while taking away from your military is, in a word, irresponsible. That's planning for the best, but being underprepared for the worst. I think that we should invest in our military so that we can be prepared for the worst and be hoping for the best.
Okay, so in a nation where you have all this money that you need to split up evenly, you need to know whether you put it in relationships and diplomacy, or would you rather put it in military? And they're both mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive. So with diplomacy, if you have someone who's a great leader who can talk to people and who can communicate with other countries and other leaders, that diplomacy can go a very, very long way. But let's say you are not prepared and you are not friends with the country and you're scared of them. Having a good military will be like, hey, you can't mess with us. Like, we will fight back if you fight us. And so, like Randall was saying, to be prepared for the unprepared, you always need to have a plan B, always a plan that will be just in case.
Almost like, so Evelyn, you had a good point. I think we all kind of disagreed with you there.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, guys. I'm
No,
so
but
sad.
diplomacy is definitely important because,
Yes.
as I mentioned in the wrong of spending all your money on diplomacy, if you go make a friend and then, or if you go get an ally with another country and they're not your ally anymore, you still have other allies that'll help you defend your country. Like Estelle was saying, instead of saying the words fight back, you don't want to provoke a fight. You just want to defend yourself. And
I'm sorry, we're out of time. There's one more question, though. So, to become president of the U.S., you have to be 35. To become prime minister of Canada, you only have to be 18. Which one's better?
Oh, that's actually a great question. I feel that 35 is best. You hopefully will have the experience and maturity and a higher level of education versus an 18-year-old who is barely an adult, who may not have the experience and maturity that a 35-year-old have to handle these tough and stressful situations that a 35-year-old can handle. I also feel like the public would see the 35-year-old as a stable, reliable, and effective leader. That's not going against an 18-year-old. I feel like if an 18-year-old was in a position of power like that, younger generations could have their voices be heard, and that we could actually participate in these political decisions and events and help make them.
I agree with Evelyn. Sorry there, Stella. I agree with Evelyn that 35 is best. But in one of the previous rounds, one of the judges asked me about Joe Biden's age. And if he gets elected again, he will be the oldest president ever to be elected. And again, I don't think it's the age that matters. It's the state of mind that they're in. I mean, an 18-year-old, they're in school. You don't want to say, sorry, I have to miss this debate because I have to go to math class later today. Like, that's not something you want. And like Evelyn said, a 35-year-old has more life experience. They're more aware of situations that are yet to come. Whether an 18-year-old, he's still figuring life out along the way. And they're pressured to do a lot more stuff than a 35-year-old would be. Or the youngest person actually to be elected prime minister in Canada was 39 years old. And so I think that they know that an 18-year-old can be elected, but none of them can rise to the challenge because, like Evelyn said, it does make the country feel more unsafe if there's an older person, a more prepared older person, and a less prepared younger person, and the younger person gets elected, and then you have that more mature person who just doesn't know what to do.
So when you're trying to find a leader, you shouldn't be going off of age, but you should be going off of education, experience, and how they can do this. But I do feel like age is a pretty big aspect of it. So whether you're trying to lead the USA or you're trying to lead Canada, you need to have that support and you need to know how to handle multiple crises at the same time and how to be a good leader. And I believe when you're 18, your frontal lobe is still developing, which plays a big aspect into all of this. Because when you're 18, you're not fully an adult yet. You're not fully making right decisions. And I know 21, you can barely even drink. So 18, that's kind of crazy for me to hear that 18 is the age you can be a prime minister before you can drink. I think that's crazy.
That is, sorry, I'm going to just butt in real quick. I agree. Age truly doesn't matter, but the level of experience and education this person has. There are probably 18-year-olds out there who could easily lead a country because they have the experience and they have the mental proneness a 35-year-old would have.
You know, I think of choosing a president as a little bit like choosing a parent. If I could choose between a 35-year-old parent and a 18-year-old parent, I would choose the 35-year-old. You know, at 18, your brain is still developing. So whenever you're 18 years old, you really don't have the capability to lead the free world. And, I mean, one big thing is the track record. I think y'all kind of mentioned that, but the track record is a big one. And that's that, you know, at 18, yet again, you just got out of school. So no one knows who you are. No one knows who they're voting for. But at 35, people might be able to see who they're voting for. You might be able to work in some other offices and work longer, figure out what you're going to do, so people will know who they're voting for.
We're all out of time. We're going to take a break for a couple minutes, and we'll be back soon.
welcome back to the finale of round 6. The heat is on. Was the heat on today?
Yeah.
Are you proud of yourself and are you proud of each other? And I heard the security officer, I always fly things around. I heard the security officer telling them a moment ago, it's not about what the outcome is, it's about how you hold yourself and how you hold each other. So congratulations to all of you. I know that this was a difficult round for our judges. Any comments from our judges about the round today? Okay, and we're also greeted by a round of former contestants as well, so you might hear a little more noise now that they're here than you did before. So without further ado, coming in second place for this round, the heat is on. Congratulations to Randall Martini! Here is your travel voucher, thanks to Hicks Automotive Group. And coming in first place in this round, not for the first time, in one of the rounds, which actually all of y'all came in first in a different round. But we want to give our warmest welcome this round to Evelyn James. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate our students and everything that they've been tasked with through these last 2 weeks, our judges and our student competitors. You can come out around and give them all a hug. Thank you again.